This is the Vacation Rental Success Podcast, keeping you up to date with news, views, information and resources on this rapidly changing short-term rental business. I'm your host, Heather Bayer, and with 25 years of experience in this industry, I'm making sure you know what's hot, what's not, what's new, and what will help make your business a success. Well, hello and welcome to another episode of the Vacation Rental Success Podcast. This is your host, Heather Bayer, and as ever, I am super delighted to be back with you once again. Today, we are diving into something a little different and super exciting. I've been talking about going to the AI for Business Summit in Las Vegas for a few weeks, and I'm now back. After the red eye out on Saturday night, got me into Toronto at 6:20 in the morning with no sleep. I made it through 27 hours of being awake and then finally made it to sleep on Sunday night at around 7 o'clock. And was it Saturday night? Was it Sunday night? I honestly have no clue. Sunday night, I believe. I don't know where my days are right now. But anyway, I'm back to normal, no jet lag. You know, for those who do lots and lots of traveling, you're so used to this. I'm not. I don't travel a huge amount, so it's a little unusual for me. I am off to Berlin in 3 weeks' time to go visit my daughter, and my sister's coming with me. We're going to have such fun at Christmas markets and just doing some general sightseeing and just enjoying being away from everything, I think, for 4 days. But for now, my mind's really buzzing with ideas about how AI is going to change the way we manage and market our short-term rental businesses. 3 days in Las Vegas, geeking out, 3 days of nothing but talking about AI with around 700 to 800 other people who are sort of on my wavelength. It was absolutely wonderful. Really enjoyed it. But the thing is, I didn't just go to the event, sit in the front where I was and take notes. I went in prepared. I have got this tiny but mighty device called the Plaud NotePin. It's on a wristband and it recorded every session I attended, automatically transcribing it, summarised it as I went, and I ended up with clear, very searchable summaries of every speaker and panel and breakout session I sat in on. And when I got back, I uploaded all of the transcripts to Google Drive, then ChatGPT, and asked it to create the outline for this episode in a vacation rental context. Et voila! This is what you get today. So it just came to my mind thinking about it, and I thought, if you're heading to the DARM event in Sandestin this December, I really strongly suggest you consider getting one of these little devices. Better still, find out if there's any other attendees who have one as well. Go to different sessions, and then you can pull your recordings and summaries. It's a really powerful way to get more value out of a conference than just attending solo. So I'll drop the link in the show notes if you want to check it out. And a quick shout out to Plaud for creating this useful piece of tech. No sponsorship here, no affiliate program, but it's been a game changer for me. Again, you'll find the link in the show notes if you want to explore it. But back to today. What I want to do in this episode is share the most interesting, practical and inspiring things I learned at the AI for Business Summit and translate them into really usable actions you can take in your short-term rental business right now. Because AI is it's not a buzzword. It's already reshaping how we communicate, how we operate, how we compete in this environment. And there's tools you can help automate guest messaging to AI avatars that actually represent you online. There's just so much happening. And I'm going to walk you through how to make it work for you. So let's get into this. So let's start with one of the flashiest but most practical things that I saw, and that's AI avatars and digital twins. We've all seen them in Reels and on YouTube, and they are now startlingly realistic. So these avatars are essentially animated versions of you, powered by your voice or text, and then presented in video format. Think about the power of being able to have yourself represented in video form without actually being on camera every time. I love this. I'm relatively comfortable, but if I want to do something very quick, a little bit of instructional stuff, I may be sitting around in my jammies or just chilled out, I could use my avatar, my digital twin, to do this, so I don't have to be on camera all the time. So you could use this to deliver personalized welcome messages, so onboarding instructions, property tours, even guest communication if you wish, all using your digital twin. Of course, and I'm going to say this over and over as I go through this does not replace human connection. But for quick instructional and informational videos, they really are useful. So I don't know if you've ever watched zombie house flippers on A&E. I had never watched this until I met Dolmar and Keisha Cross back in Orlando in June. And these guys are the stars, I guess, of zombie house flippers. Very personable, lovely, lovely couple. And Keisha was delivering this presentation, and she drove us home by featuring the digital twin of herself that now acts as her social media spokesperson. And this digital version looked and sounded just like her. She's standing on the stage, talking to us, and then right next to her is this huge screen with her on video. And I could not see the difference. I could not see that it wasn't her. The lip syncing was perfect. It sounded, looked like her, delivered consistent content, and it gave her the ability to scale her presence without burning her out. So the interesting thing is that when she started posting these videos, her clients were engaging with the avatar as if they were engaging with her directly, sending messages to her avatar, which, yeah, it was interesting. So for us as hosts and managers, this really unlocks a new level of time-saving opportunities. You don't need to shoot a new video when it's important to get some information across. You don't need to create endless Instagram reels yourself. Your digital twin can step in and carry the message while you manage the business. So for each of these sections, as I go through, I'm going to give you some action steps. So for this one, the first thing to do is create an avatar. You can use a tool like Synthesia or HeyGen to create a branded, consistent spokesperson for your business. I've done this. It's really easy to do this. Just go to one of those platforms and get set up. You could use it for guest onboarding. Instead of sending written instructions, create a warm and welcoming video that walks guests through the house rules, the check-in process, and local highlights maybe. For your social media presence, you could batch create AI avatar videos once a month where you talk about local events and property updates or promotions and just schedule them to go out every week. And then where I find this super helpful is training videos for, let's say, for your cleaners or for your VAs. Build a library of SOP videos using your avatar, and that will ensure your team training's consistent and scalable. And this is so simple. Create your avatar. You will also need to go into a platform called 11 Labs that creates your voice. I forgot to mention that. So you use the combination of 11 Labs voice and HeyGen video, and then you just seamlessly put them together to create your digital twin videos. That was so awesome. I could have just watched that and left and come away with so much value. I would have had enough to share, I think, in a whole episode, but you're just getting the little Cliff's Notes at the moment. So the second one I wanted to talk about was called AI Tools for Productivity. So this is the backbone of any good business. And if you're anything like me, your to-do list never ends. And as managers, we often spend way too much time doing repetitive, low-impact tasks. So the summit introduced a wide range of AI-powered productivity tools that can dramatically cut down the time we spend on admin work. I've already mentioned Plaud, and using that in meetings, you can actually get a version that is on a magnet that goes on the back of your phone that records telephone calls as well. That is such a splendid tool. But another of the tools showcased was Granola, which acts as your virtual assistant, listening to your meetings, identifying important action items, and automatically drafting emails and summaries. It's the kind of support that used to require hiring a VA or an assistant, and now it's available to anybody, just on demand. What really struck me was how much time and mental space this kind of tool can save. So instead of scrambling to remember what you discussed with your cleaner or worrying if you sent that last follow-up to a contractor, these tools can quietly track, record, and then prompt you into action with zero effort on your part. So the action steps here, you could start with any one of these tools. I mentioned Granola. There's also Otter, the Fireflies.ai. I use Fathom.ai, and they're really easy to use tools that record Zoom, Google Meet, or in-person meetings and turn them into searchable transcripts and notes. Now, we've just gone into Google Workspace. So with Google Workspace, we get Google Meet, and when you're in Google Meet, Gemini records the conversation. So you do end up with a transcript from that as well. So that's a great addition to the Google Workspace menu of features. And then, you can turn them into searchable transcripts. So you could build a workflow in Notion if you use it, or ClickUp if you use that. I actually use ClickUp. And use the AI integrations in those platforms to automate your recurring to-dos. And you probably get a lot of these already in your PMS. So certainly I would explore the features you're perhaps not using in your PMS to start with, because you probably find a lot of these in there. When a new booking comes in, it automatically assigns a checklist to a cleaner. It drafts a guest message and prepares a welcome pack. If you're not using one of those fully featured PMSs, then think about doing this yourself. You can also create templates for common guest replies using ChatGPT, which can write and store guest communication templates. For example, a response to an early check-in request, or a maintenance issue response, or let me think, a late checkout denied but offered a discount instead, something like that. You can also use it to automate vendor follow-ups. After a site visit or a phone call with a vendor or contractor, let the AI summarize what was discussed and then email the next steps. So that was particularly useful. But as I say, there's a lot of these that will already be in the SaaS products you already use within your business, most likely to be in platforms like your PMS or like Breezeway or Turno. Make sure you really understand what features are in there, because I'm betting there's some that you've never used. So the third session I want to call out was called Be the Only. This one, I think, out of all the sessions, made the most impact on me because it was about personal branding. And it was a mindset shifting idea. And what it did was challenged one of the most common beliefs in business, that being the best is what wins. But the speaker, a guy called Brad Holkman, turned that idea on its head. He said, you don't win by being the best, you win by being the only. And it makes perfect sense. In a world where every host and manager is competing on photos and amenities and price, the way to truly stand out is to actually be different. Not louder, not more polished, but just unmistakably you. And Brad compared this to a $2 bill. And of course, we're in Vegas, so he held up a $100 bill and a $2 bill. And he said, all right, you're out in the casino. Which one of these are you going to hang on to? Well, of course, you're going to hang on to the $2 bill because it's rare. Everyone knows that the $2 bill exists, but when you get one, you don't spend it. You keep it. It stands out. It's memorable. And this is what being the only is about. It means tapping into your story, your voice, your way of doing things, and then putting that front and center. Are you the only property or property management company that offers a wellness studio and a meditation deck? Are you the only host that grew up in that town and gives hyper-local experiences? Do you have properties that have curated vinyl connections? Because I'm thinking if you're a manager, you could probably, a lot of your properties you could look at and say, what is the only feature of this property that stands it out from the rest? These things might not seem huge, but they can be your real differentiators. In a sea of sameness, I'm heading down to Gulf Shores in 6 weeks' time. When I'm down there, I look at all those condo buildings and think, every single condo is much the same. If you've got a condo, how do you stand out? Well, you can figure out how you are being the only. Let me know. I'm really, really interested. Maybe you are the only one with the motorised beach wheelchair. Quite the investment for one of those. But my goodness, you will find yourself very popular in the disability market if you've got a motorised beach wheelchair that you offer. You can't have a hot tub or a sauna because you're in a condo, but that could be your massive differentiator, and put other accessible features in your condo, and all of a sudden you're the only. This is what guests remember. So AI can help you package and amplify these details, but it can't invent them. That's all you. That's where the human comes in. So your action steps here are to start out, and I talk about this all the time, about your About Us page, your origin story. This is your only. Why did you start in this business? What personal values drive your hospitality approach? It's got to go on your About Us page, in your welcome emails, and on your social media. Those people that stand out generally have a great About Us story. Everybody has one, even if you think, well, I'm not sure I've got anything that's different from anybody else. I think you do. I believe that you do have a really good origin story. You've just got to search about and find it. So you could also identify your signature touches. What do you do that guests rave about? It's in your reviews. Go check out and figure out what that feature is that you deliver that they rave about. It might be the handmade welcome basket, or a book collection that you have, or maybe you have a s'mores kit by the fire pit. All these things should be highlighted in your marketing. What is it that you do that stands you out, even if it's the tiniest little thing? Create a positioning statement. It's a one-liner that defines your onlyness. What if that onlyness is a word? I don't know. I like it. For example, we're the only lakefront rental in Muskoka with a cedar barrel sauna and storybook library. Use this in your ads, your bios, and your listing headline. And then this is something you should be doing anyway, regardless of whether you want to be the only or not, but audit your online presence. Does your listing sound like everybody else's? If it does, rewrite it with some voice, some flair and specificity. Show it, don't just tell it. And if you're stuck for ideas, just go to ChatGPT and tell it you're stuck for ideas. Ask ChatGPT to interview you. You could say, I want to find my onlyness. I want to find what really makes my property and my story unique. Interview me and ask me questions that will draw out the features that make my onlyness. I've just created that word. I like it. But yes, if you ask ChatGPT to do that, to interview you, it is going to deliver. It's going to ask you a ton of questions. I know that for sure. But it will then, at the end, it's going to deliver your uniqueness. And then you can ask it then to create your positioning statement. Then give it your property listing and ask it to audit that, and then to rewrite it to reflect your onlyness. It was, that was such a great session. I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm going to do some more sharing about that one. I'm probably going to go out and share that on my social media platforms because I thought it was so special. So the next segment was on video marketing and direct response ads. And it was one of the most energizing, visually impactful sessions, and all about the future of video content. We all know by now that video's king. But what has changed is how accessible it's become. As I talked about earlier on about your digital twin, and you no longer need a camera crew. You don't need an editing suite to make a beautiful, persuasive video. You just need a good story, a clear message, and some smart tools that might include that digital twin. So the speakers in this session showed examples of AI-generated ads that were emotionally resonant, highly targeted, and super effective. In fact, one of the speaker's children, his 15-year-old daughter, came on stage to show a video commercial that she had made for the summit. It looked astonishing. It could have been a highly professionally created commercial. And then they talked about the one short video that was made with AI visuals and just a voiceover that got 250,000 views and generated $1 million in client revenue. And why was that? Because it told a really great story. And what struck me was how relevant this is for our industry. We're in the business of creating experiences. People just don't book a bed. They book a memory. And video is the best way to convey that. And video is something I've shied away from for a long time. You'll know that when I post out the podcasts, it goes onto YouTube and there's no video with it. And that is going to change. That will change. I'm going to get a VA who's going to help me with that because it's the technical side of it. And, I just need some help. But here's some action steps for you. Create some content like having your avatar or your voiceover tell a guest story. For example, you could say, meet Sarah. She booked our cottage for her birthday weekend and ended up engaged on the dock. And that would be a really simple one to put together with some of the outstanding platforms there are there now. You can use platforms like Pika Labs or Runway ML to animate photos, to add effects, and produce these cinematic videos, even if you've got zero editing skills. In the next few weeks, I'm going to be sharing something with you that we are going to be offering, and it's going to be just a great app that allows you to create these videos, these short videos, just directly on the app. I probably shouldn't have mentioned that because it's still in the construction stages, but it's coming soon. So I will, if you're on our mailing list, you'll get this information as soon as it's created and I can share it. And it's going to be before the end of the year for sure. So once you've created your videos, you test multiple versions. AI allows you to quickly test different intros, different headlines, different music. Don't forget you can make music with Suno. That was demonstrated too. It was just so easy to tell the AI what type of music you want, whether you want words with it or if it's just a tune. So simple. And then you could just run $10 ads on Facebook to see which performs better. I think that's something you probably do at a later date. I listened to that and I thought, I'm not sure I'm going to be spending money to do A/B ads on Facebook until I really know what I'm doing. Then the other action you could do is to then, once you've done your video, you can repurpose it. You can turn a story into short clips for TikTok or for Instagram or for YouTube Shorts or for Pinterest or Facebook. You can always tell when I start getting excited about stuff, I talk much faster than usual and ramble a little bit. But anyway, there's just so much you can do when you have that material, when you've created that video. So don't sort of go out at the start thinking, I'm going to make 10 videos. Just start with one. Just ask ChatGPT to help you create scripts, to create outlines, to create ideas on the B-roll that you can use in your video. And once you've done that on ChatGPT, you can create a prompt that will then go into creating the video. So the next session focused on one of the biggest opportunities that we could have as a short-term rental or vacation rental operator, and that's automation. When I put this into ChatGPT and I said, how does this session convert to our STR industry? And it said, automation of the entire guest journey. And I stepped back a bit and I thought, do we really want to automate the entire guest journey? But what made this session different was that it had an emphasis on automation with empathy. So it's not about building a cold robotic sequence of emails, but about using AI to recreate the kind of personalized service you deliver if you had the time to sit down with every guest. So the speaker in this session demonstrated a really powerful framework using Go High Level, or GHL, which is a CRM system combined with voice-based AI. It's the Go High Level is the one we use. It's built in to the AI for Business platform that everything we do at Vacation Rental Formula is built on. We went into this in April of this year, and after I'd originally watched one of the first 3-day summits that the AI for Business team deliver, usually every couple of weeks. And I'm going to send you to a link that for the next virtual summit. It's usually 2 or sometimes 3 days of just absolutely astonishingly good content about AI. I was blown away by what these guys have developed and share. So anyway, they were talking about Go High Level, which is a part of AI for Business. But they showed how you can preload your workflows with customized automations and could tie it to real-time guest behaviors. So, for example, if a guest clicks a certain activity in your welcome email, the system sends a follow-up suggesting a local guide or offering a discount code. And the idea is to just create a digital concierge experience. And the beauty of it is once you build these flows, they run on autopilot. And I can see that, when you do this, you're going to get more 5-star reviews, very likely to get fewer last-minute questions because it's intelligent enough to predict the questions that are going to come and answer them before they get there. So your action steps, and once again, your PMS or some of the software you're using may already do this. There's companies like Boom and like Enzo Connect that are doing this. So if you're already getting interested, if you don't want to do this yourself, that's what I'm trying to say. If you don't want to do this yourself, there are platforms out there for this industry that are creating these things for you. As I say, Enzo Connect, Boom, and I'm sure there's plenty of others, and maybe some of them are built in to your PMS. So before starting out on any of this, the second time I'm saying it, I may say it again at the end, check the features that are already in the platforms that you are already paying for, because you may not be using them all. You may not have even looked at the AI types of tools. So going back to the action steps, map your guest journey. Outline every stage of the guest journey, the booking, the confirmation, the time in between, Andy McNulty used to call it tumbleweed time. You know, that time between that confirmation of the booking and the time you arrive, when people are anticipating their stay. It's that anticipation stage. And most, I think still, the majority of companies do not make the most of the tumbleweed time and send information about things that are happening. But anyway, I've added that the tumbleweed time in after the confirmation and before check-in. And then there's the stay, and then there's the post-checkout. And what you do is you map out each of those stages and then identify 2 to 3 opportunities at every stage for useful communication. That's your start. And then you set up smart automations. As I say, could be in your PMS, integrated into there. But if not, use a CRM like Go High Level. And then you set up your booking confirmed, sending a personalized email with the house manual and embedded video tour. The tumbleweed time, sending information on events in the area, local restaurants that have just opened, making sure that you keep that communication going to feed the anticipation. And then maybe 3 days before arrival, a text message with parking info and a weather forecast. Always very helpful. Mid-stay, a quick check-in text offering help or maybe an upsell. And then the checkout, maybe an automated review request and thank you video. And then you add voice-driven support. Use a voice assistant like 11 Labs to help create helpful voice messages for pre-arrival tips or in-stay support that can feel really personal and proactive. I'm going to talk just when we get to the end about using more voice, because I've been talking to quite a few people recently and saying, you know, how much do you use voice to talk to ChatGPT, to talk to the platforms that you're using? And most people are still typing in their requests. I'll come back to that a bit later on. So that was a session on automations, which was super interesting. The next session that really got to me was one on AI plus humanity, equaling our competitive edge. And this segment was really thought-provoking. So one of the keynote speakers from a company called Liminal has been studying this intersection of AI and human behavior for over 2 decades and made a really compelling case that AI should not replace human connection. Instead, it should amplify it. A bit of a no-brainer, don't you think? But one to really think of when we hear so much about what AI may or may not do. Is it going to take our jobs away? Is it going to take over our thought processes? That's my brother-in-law who tells me that I'm losing some cognitive abilities because I said to him, I don't tend to think a huge amount about stuff now. I go to ChatGPT and ask it questions, or get ChatGPT to ask me questions. And apparently I'm degrading my cognitive abilities by doing that. But anyway, that's an argument I will probably take on for the next few years with him. It's one I'm sure you've had as well. So the speaker told a story. So think about the host or manager who uses AI to automate 90% of their business. But in the reviews, the guests consistently mention that it was the personal follow-up call or handwritten note that stuck with them, because it's those human touches, when they're layered on top of sort of seamless AI-driven processes, they create a feeling of being truly cared for. And don't forget, we're not the only industry that is delivering AI-powered services. They're getting this from everywhere, from their insurance company, from their accountant, from multiple other places they deal with. They're getting more and more AI. So when you're able to still deliver those human touches, then people are going to notice you and be appreciative of it. Because as AI becomes more integrated into your business, humanity is going to become more rare or going to feel more rare. And that means it becomes more valuable. So how do you strike that balance? You use AI to save time, to enhance your communication, to provide consistency and polish. But then you've got to use that saved time to do the things that only you can do. Things that the AI can't fake. And that is genuine hospitality. So the action steps here are using AI to create time margins. Let it handle the admin and then spend that margin on something human, maybe a phone call, a surprise gift, or a personalised recommendation that you either have a face-to-face with a guest or you call them up and just show that humanity. Create a surprise and delight list. And you can automate a monthly reminder to add one unexpected human touch to each guest experience, and maybe create this list of what you could do. Send voice messages over text messages. Send a quick thank you voice memo after guests check out, and use apps like WhatsApp or Voxer is a great one for personal but really effective communication. And then, of course, when we have repeat guests, you've got to remember them. Use the AI to track the guest history so that when they return, you can greet them with a note that maybe says, "Welcome back. We remembered how you loved that French bakery last time you were here. Here's a new one we discovered." So the AI will track reviews, track what they say in the reviews that they loved the most, and then deliver it back to you the next time the guest comes to say, "Oh, don't forget to mention this to that guest." I love that. To me, we just become more effective, really become more effective as operators when we use AI. So the final session might have shared the simplest idea of all, but it could be one of the most powerful that I took away, and that is commenting is the new content. That is commenting on somebody else's post. One of the panelists at this session told a story about how they made one single thoughtful comment, not just a one-liner or a one-worder comment, but actually went back with quite a creative comment on a creator's post. And it brought in over 100,000 impressions and a ton of new followers. So it wasn't a sponsored ad, it wasn't a video, it was just a comment. And what they followed that up with is because visibility today isn't just about publishing, it's about participation and engagement. And for you guys, this is a gold mine. If you want more direct bookings, you want better partnerships, you want greater brand awareness, you don't have to spend thousands on ads. You just need to show up where the conversation is happening and get stuck in and engage. And this isn't just with guests and owners and people that you know, but if you start commenting thoughtfully on content from local businesses, influencers, real estate agents, travel creators, this places your brand in front of new audiences who trust those accounts and also establishes your expertise in the space. So here's the action steps for this. Create a content engagement plan, not just a content publishing plan, but an engagement plan. Be selective. Choose 5 to 10 accounts that relate to short-term rental or travel, or maybe your local area, maybe it's your tourism department. Spend 10 minutes every day, and all you do is just leave some helpful, engaging comments. If people like your comments, they're going to click on your profile. They're going to go see you. They're going to like you. They're going to follow you. It was so simple. So you also need to be strategic and personal in the comments. You reference specifics in the post. You add your perspective, or you offer a useful link. Just avoid generic responses that just say, "Oh, great post. I loved what you said about XYZ." You want to deliver something that is really helpful. And then boost local collaborations. Comment on posts by your local coffee shop, tour operators, or any local publications. This is great in Facebook. Then tag your property or offer a special for their audience, but be very careful when you do this. You need to be engaging for quite a while before you start doing anything that might smack of self-promotion. If people want to follow you, they're going to follow you back to see who you are because they just like what you said. And then encourage reciprocation. You can send a DM to the account owner to say that you love their content and that you shared it. And I've done this before. I've read something, I made a comment, I then sent a DM and I said, I really loved what you said about that. I've shared it to my audience. From one of those, I got an invite to go on their podcast. So it does open doors for guest blogging, maybe some collaborations or some cross promotions. So be thoughtful all the time. So I'm sort of running out of time to share any more, but let's just bring it home with a few concrete things you can implement right now. So go to HeyGen, go to 11 Labs, create your voice, create your video, record a guest welcome video using an AI avatar. You don't have to go out and use it straight away. Your first attempt may not be the best attempt, but you'll have done it. You'll have done it. I remember years ago, this is going back almost a decade, when video was starting to be the thing, and it was Matt Landau introduced me to a colleague of his who was creating these video welcomes. This is just like that. We haven't come a huge amount of distance from that, but now you can create those welcome videos without having to get in front of the camera yourself. So secondly, install an AI note taker and summarize your next team or vendor meetings. I don't use the summaries that are delivered to me by the note takers. I just take the transcript into ChatGPT or Notebook LM, and then I ask it questions, and then I ask it to produce reports and briefings from the transcript. Thirdly, and you've heard this from me before, define your origin, your host story. Weave it into your listings, into your website, even into your email signatures. And if you get stuck, you ask ChatGPT how you can do that. Fourthly, create a video ad based on a guest story. And when you've got that to where you want to share it, run it out on social media and see what happens. And number 5, comment meaningfully on 10 posts from any person in your space that's in the industry, from creators or partners or vendors or local establishments. Comment on their posts. So before I finish, I did say I was going to talk about voice. That is one big thing that came out of this session. It was about using voice more to interact with your AI. A lot of people I know have their own ChatGPT voices and they have conversations with them. So I do this when I'm out on a walk and I'm not about to start typing into ChatGPT. When something comes into my mind and I want to ask a question, I just fire up voice and just ask my question, and then I get the voice response. And you can change the voices, the personalities that come back to you. You can even tell them whether you want them to be friendly or critical. If you want them to push you to be better, you can set this all up. But do practice this. If you haven't tried voice, then I really, really recommend it, because once you get into that habit of just using voice to ask a question, it's more natural because you're not sitting there thinking, oh, what shall I put into this prompt? You're just voicing it, and it works really well. So to wrap it up, AI is not here to replace us. It's here to make room for us to be more creative, to be more strategic, and essentially to be more human. I had such a great time at this event. I'd love you to go and check out AI for Business, the next free summit. I think what they were doing, I don't know if they put the price up. If you can't watch, it's the usual thing. If you have to sit and watch the 2 or 3 days, unless you pay for the recordings. I did that at the first. I was only able to go for 2 or 3 of these and then realised the value. I went straight in, and at that time, back in June, it was $29 to get all the recordings, and I thought that was fantastic. It may have gone up a bit. I think it's absolutely worth it. I went on from there to get way more involved in AI for Business, and I'm now in their top tier coaching group and learning so much. I also got front seats at the summit, which was very nice. I'll put a link to that on the show notes. I hope this episode has sparked some ideas and is giving you the push to try something new. I know every time I do these episodes on AI that more and more people are beginning to use it more impactfully. And I know in a year's time or 18 months' time, I'll probably be pretty redundant in this space because everybody will be immersed in it. I'm just enjoying my time at the moment when I can go out, learn it, and then share it with you. So if you put anything that I've suggested into action, or if you've got any questions, you can send me an email, connect with me on LinkedIn. Please connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a DM. I'd love to feature what you're building because as you can tell, this just fires me up. This lights me up every single day, the power of what's in our future. So thank you again for listening. Don't forget you can join our Straight Chat community. We're still offering membership at $9 a month. If you get in at $9 a month, then you are in at that price forever. We're not going to raise the price on you. And it is going, as soon as we've got our first 100 members in there, we are putting the price up. But I'm posting a lot more stuff in there than you're listening to on here and sharing that with the members of the Straight Chat community. So please think about going on there and joining us. And hopefully I'll see you in there. And if not, I'll be with you again next week. It's been a pleasure as ever being with you. If there's anything you'd like to comment on, then join the conversation on the show notes for the episode at vacationrentalformula.com. We'd love to hear from you, and I look forward to being with you again next week.